Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and this is my channel where we talk about all the houseplant things. In today's video, we are going to be talking about a couple of houseplant adjacent hobbies. Now these are hobbies that would support your houseplant hobbying and make it easier, make it more fun, just kind of bolster it so that you're not spending all of your time shopping for new plants and maybe you're making new things for your plants and things like that. If you know me at all, you know that I am a serial hobbyist. I am always picking up new hobbies. I've got like 6 different hobbies on the back burner currently. But the most recent one that I've taken up is cross stitching, which is super fun. I've found a lot of really beautiful botanical related cross stitch patterns on Etsy and stuff like that. So that's not exactly what we're going to be talking about today, but I thought that I'd throw it out there. Fiber art is something that I talk more about on my second channel, my vlog channel. I do sewing and just more fiber art and life stuff over there. But today we're going to be keeping it more on the houseplant related hobbies. Okay, the most obvious one that I have to bring it up first is gardening. So landscape gardening or vegetable gardening or flower gardening. There's so many different ways to garden. And one of my favorite ways to garden is like landscape gardening and flower gardening. I do like vegetable gardening, but not as much as I like seeing flowers and stuff like that. I feel like flower gardening is a little bit more low maintenance than vegetable gardening because the vegetable gardening brings a lot of pests and harvesting and all these things, but then again, you get food, so it's definitely worth it. But there's so many different ways to garden and you don't need a whole lot of space to do it. If you have a small little patio, you can get some planters and go to the store and grab some seeds or just full-on plants. I talk a lot about gardening on my second channel, not to bring it up again, but I talk more about that on my second channel because that is one of the hobbies that I have taken up personally. I started gardening when I moved to this house in 2020. Well, I guess it was 2021 when I started. I built a really beautiful garden with a bunch of beds and I've gardened in it every year, and every year it has looked a little bit different because every year my life has looked a little bit different. So this year I think I'm going to focus more on flowers and just mixing in really easy things that will feel really fun, like cut flowers and stuff like that, to make little bouquets for myself and also have a couple of veggies like tomatoes, fruits like cantaloupe, bell peppers, cucumbers, really just things that are super simple to grow. I really enjoy that aspect of it, and it's just fun having a lush space to go enjoy outside. And again, you don't need to have a lot of space to do it. Plenty of people have really beautiful balcony gardens or like front porch gardens. Okay, the next one is another one that I have delved into, and that is pottery. So I took a pottery class in January of 2023, and I was heavily pregnant. So I don't know if I wasn't heavily pregnant. I think I was like 5 or 6 months pregnant. Okay, I was medium pregnant. And I think that made me not like it as much. Like I had more of a negative connotation because I was super sick through most of my pregnancy. But I started to do pottery again. I signed up for an open studio slot at my local pottery studio. And I've gone twice and I have thrown a couple of pots and it has been so fun. So pottery, you can do like wheel throwing, which is a little bit more intense, but you can also do like air dry clay. You can also do things like pinch pots. There's a lot of ways to create with clay in the pottery realm without it being, wheel throwing clay. Wheel throwing clay can be a little bit more intimidating, but I would say if you are like revving up to start a new hobby, it's the perfect one. You're getting your hands dirty. You're actually like making things that you can use. The other day I was walking around my house thinking like, what do I need? Like, what can I make for myself? Because I have this hunk of clay and access to a kiln and all the glazes and the wheel. Like, what can I make for myself? The possibilities are truly endless, and I would not have believed you if you told me that I would be making my own pottery a couple of years ago, because it literally never crossed my mind to do it. It always just seemed like it was way too hard. The class that I took in January was an intro class, and it was like a 6-week intro class, and I went for like 3 hours every week, and I feel like I learned a lot. I got a really great foundation that even a year and some change later, I still remember so much of what I learned, and I'm able to use it now in a more like independent way. Of Of course, it'd be nice to have a little bit more guidance, but there's a lot of people on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube who make really helpful videos. So definitely I will link a few down below if you're interested. We have a lot of clay around my house, and I talked to the studio about harvesting the wild clay and like processing it to use it for actual pottery. And I'm definitely going to try it. So stay tuned for that whole journey. I'm super excited. Do you know what could so easily become a hobby of mine? Website building. So I love using Squarespace to build my websites for my businesses, Potted Together and De La Plants. I've built websites for them both, and it has been such a wonderful experience. Does anybody remember making a little page on MySpace and all the ways you could customize things and have your music playing and have the background and your top friends? I feel like Squarespace gives that same energy just because it's so customizable. You can do so many different things. They have so many wonderful features like blogging, newsletters, an online shop. It's just such a great resource to get the word out about your business. Squarespace is the best place to share about your business and what you're doing online. I absolutely love it. It's super user friendly. So if you're interested in sharing more online about all the cool things you do, definitely check the description box below, click the link, and use my code Becca De La Plants for 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Okay, now we're getting into the hobbies that I absolutely know nothing about, but I think they're cool. So the first one is fish and reptiles, and just in general creating enclosures for them. There's something so cool about making like a vivarium, I think that's what they're called, but it's just like a little square box or tank, and it is a living environment for like a chameleon or a lizard, like a green anole or something like that. And I've also seen really cool stuff for fish, like with water plants and stuff like that. Oh my gosh, I have been actually really interested in creating a little pond in my yard, like an above ground pond and like a planter. I've seen a few videos about it online, and I'm super curious because I want to make a bigger one for the greenhouse, but of course there's so many things I need to do before that. So I don't know if that'll happen, but the smaller one I think definitely could happen this year. But anyway, it's just so cool that fish and reptiles, like obviously they live in nature and like you can give them fake plants, but I don't know like how beneficial that is for them really. Like it's probably so much cooler do they really know? I don't know. Again, I don't know a ton. So if you're a fish or a reptile person, please do not eviscerate me, because I am also going to say, please do plenty of research before you bring in an animal like a reptile or a fish or just any living thing. You can also, this is really cool, you can have jumping spiders as a pet. Okay, I saw this on TikTok and it totally blew my mind. And as soon as my daughter is old enough to like care, we're going to be doing it because I love jumping spiders so much. And you can make a little environment for them too. So I don't know. I'm really excited for that someday. Okay, and the last hobby that I think you should check out if you are looking for another hobby that is houseplant adjacent is 3D printing. And this is probably the one that is the most useful. I have on more than one occasion thought to myself, should I get a 3D printer? Because I found out that 3D printers, you can basically like buy patterns and you just put it into your machine and your machine starts making it. So you don't have to like, again, I don't know a ton about the process, but you don't have to like invent your own stuff. Like you can totally, but there are people out there who like sell the patterns. And it's so similar to like sewing and crafting. It's insane. So maybe eventually I will get into it. Hopefully like I'll get my husband into that one so that can be his hobby that he does for me. You know what I mean? But anyway, there's so many things online for 3D printing. I've actually seen 3D printed plants, which look so realistic and cool. And I've also seen 3D plants that are purposeful. So like this one it's like a carnivorous plant, like the Venus flytrap, and each of the little traps are chip clips. Like it's so cool and inventive. And there's another one where it's an aloe plant and each little leaf on the aloe plant is a pen. Like what? It's so cool. 3D printing is just like such a cool, inventive hobby. And if you see a problem in your life or in your houseplant life, you can literally just print something off to make your life easier in that way. It's just so cool. I have a couple of 3D printed pots as well. So if making your own pottery sounds like fun, but you're not wanting to like get on the wheel and start throwing and having your hands all dirty and learning this whole new skill, if you have the money to invest in a 3D printer, or actually some libraries have 3D printers that you can use, definitely look into your local library to see if they have any classes for any of these things that I'm talking about, because oftentimes they do have classes for adults to like continue education. And I have seen 3D printing stuff, I think at my own library, or someone has told me their library had a 3D printer. I'm just saying, check out your local library. They have a lot of really great resources. I hope that this has inspired you to get into another hobby related to houseplants, a hobby that will support your houseplant love and be semi-related, if not totally related. I'm so excited to hear about your hobbies. If you have a hobby that is houseplant adjacent that I did not mention, or if you do any of the hobbies that I've mentioned and you want to like agree or whatever else, I'd love to hear from you in the comments because I just think it'd be so fun to hear more hobbies, because don't we always need more hobbies? Comment down below what you do that is houseplant adjacent. I'm super excited to hear. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure that you are subscribed if you're not already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.